Here with us right now, head men's basketball coach Bart Lundy, fresh off of teaching kindergarten at home, I presume. How's it going, Coach?
Suzanne's got it today, so.
Do you rotate the duties day by day?
We do, but she's also still working. So Mondays and Wednesdays, it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It was all me, but now Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, I think she's a better teacher than I am. So
your teaching skills not like your coaching skills.
I don't know. Liam likes them, but I think she's a little more demanding than I am. So
Suzanne doesn't approve of them as much, right?
Yeah, that would be right. That would be right. I don't ask her to complete my coaching skills, so we don't know where we stand on
that. Better quarantine beard, you or me?
I'm biased, so I won't answer that.
I got an Andrew Luck type neck beard going. Like, this hasn't been touched since the NCAA tournament got canceled. I haven't really left my apartment since.
They make hair trimmers for that.
They do. I have to locate one. No excuses. Well done. That looks like your annual winter vacation beard that you grow, and you have that 3-week break, and then you shave it, and you go back to clean shaven Bart Lundy, and then you go back to winning basketball games.
So we're all losing right now.
So let's talk about the end of the season. Everything was trending in the right direction for you. You won 10 games in a row, back in the conference championship game for the third time in 4 years. You had an 11-point first-half lead on the number 2 team in the country, couldn't put it away, but you looked as if you came the closest, more so than anybody, to snapping the nation's longest active winning streak and heading into the NCAA tournament with a conference championship, and then it all ends. So I can't imagine that you can't help but think, what could have been? What type of run could we have gone on?
It's hard to tell. It could have been one and done in the NCAA tournament. Who knows? But we had really improved, and we're continuing to improve. I think our focus was excellent. The loss in the championship game, I thought, would be motivating for those guys. They left that arena with a bad taste in their mouth about how we kind of let it slip away, and me as well. I didn't feel like that I had helped our guys as much as I possibly could. We literally had a game plan that we put in the night before with no practice time, 25-minute shoot around. So, all that doesn't matter. They won the game and scored more points than we did. So, but I did feel like we were trending the right way, and like where our team was and where they were heading. And I thought we had as good a shot to win that region as anyone.
One of the things that I've learned about coaches being around you, your associate head coach, Grant Leonard, over the years, is the way in which you process things. And you process things obviously vastly different than the average fan looking from the outside would. And consistently, I've heard both you and Grant say this over the years. There's a difference in the tournament with a one-day prep. And there's a difference between locations of the tournament when you have either no-day prep, one-day prep, two-day prep, or potentially a weeks-long prep. Had you gotten Lincoln Memorial again, you'd have had an extra night off because they were the 1 seed in the tournament. You were the 2 seed at the NCAAs. You would not have met them until the regional championship. So it could have been vastly different, at least the implementation of the game plan. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think we take pride in our game prep. I think Lincoln Memorial does as well. But it's hard to say. I think we would have they would have benefited a little more from the extra rest because we're deeper. Mm-hmm. And we would have had our game plan in at that point. But the game plan that we came up with before the championship game we didn't have time to put in. We put it in as best we could, and I thought our guys were great with it. And it wasn't elaborate, but I thought we controlled the tempo of the game, and they went on a couple runs, which is what they do. So somehow you've got to stop those runs. I just think our guys were trending up. They're fighters, and I think that they're, especially guys like Danny Carr and Van Turner. I don't know that they were going to allow themselves to be denied and make the same mistakes that we made in that last game.
Which is funny because for someone like Daniel Carr, who has played in all but 2 games of his career because of a brief little stint with injury this season, 24-7 was the least successful record that he had in his career. It's kind of remarkable, to be honest. And you just got the feeling that Queens LMU Part 4, everybody wanted to see it, obviously. It's happened multiple times in the last 3-4 years, but it could have been different. And you got that feeling with knowing Danny's mindset, similar to the mindset of the group 2 years ago, Mike, Todd, Jalen, Ike. They knew they weren't going to Harrogate that year and losing for a 4th time to Lincoln Memorial. And they ended up holding the number 1 scoring offense in the country 40 points below their season average, and they won by 12, and they went on to the Final Four, best team in program history. But you had a similar feeling with Daniel Carr that such a winning career, the winningest in program history, that wasn't going to happen to him either. You just had that feeling. Did you have that feeling? I, as a follower of the program and a broadcaster, had that feeling.
I would say that we bit vulnerable, more than I think we thought going into that championship game. I will say, rewinding to the year you reference, that team, to me, that Lincoln Memorial team almost seemed insurmountable to me. They had size. You really couldn't score on them. They spread you out. They could get you inside and outside. And I thought Todd and that group really willed us to that championship in the region final. So I don't think to me the margins in that year were greater this year. And I think the margins early in the year when we played Lincoln Memorial in the regular season may have been greater with this team. But as this past year's team progressed and matured, especially our young inside guys, I thought the gap closed. Not to say take anything away from Lincoln Memorial. I just thought that we matured and we got better. And I don't know what would have happened, but we would have given them a good shot. But there were 2 games that we had to win to get there too, and as well they had to win 2 more games. Yeah,
I mean, LMU didn't really play many close games this year. You held them to a single-digit margin and gave them a punch in the gut 2 times. And it's interesting to me to hear, not to dwell on 2 years ago what could have happened in meeting number 4. You're right; it may never have materialized. It's interesting for me to hear you say, though, that the margin this year was tighter than that, maybe. And I think it's interesting because we'll just never know. We'll never know what would have happened. And everybody sits here, your players, Coach Schertz and his players, myself as a broadcaster, everybody sits here wondering what could have been. We just don't know. We may have had one of the all-time great games in Queens Lincoln Memorial history.
If the virus subsides and the TBT takes place on an outdoor court, and we'll play the best of 7. Who knows?
There you go.
Figure it out.
The way the season ended. So the day in which all of this broke was the day in which your team was holding its final practice at Levine and then about to board the bus to drive to Harrogate for the tournament. So when exactly did you find out? Because I understand that the university made a decision on it before the NCAA. So when exactly did you find out during the course of that day that you wouldn't be going?
Yeah, I'll walk you through the whole day. It was an interesting day. So we had practice at 3:30, and as you know, the first 30 minutes of our practice is skill development.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a meeting with our administration, President Lugo, James Bullock at 3.
Mm-hmm.
So we discussed what the best course of action was going to be. And at that point, the NCAA had left it up to each institution to make their own decision about what do you want to play? Do you not want to play? I think President Lugo was on the cutting edge of what was happening with the virus, probably more than anyone that I knew,
Mm-hmm.
that didn't have inside information. And he was, he was very, he was very articulate in his argument that that we have to be very concerned about our student athletes and what could happen if we played. And I think we all came to the agreement that we should be the leader. I think at that point, Duke and Kansas had pulled out of the Division I tournament. I didn't personally think that the tournaments would happen regardless of our decision.
Well, once Duke and Kansas pull out, the NCAA is going to get pressured.
Yeah, that's not a good sign for the NCAA.
No.
So we made the decision to go ahead and not get on that bus, and we were not going to participate in the regional. So we went down, and James Bullock came with me to represent the administration, and we took the team from the court to a classroom, and I explained as best that I could our reasoning. James chimed in on that, and our guys listened and took it well. I think at some point James left the meeting, and at that point, I think our guys, kind of the emotion came out. They held it together while he was there, and then all the emotion, and I think they were able to process what was actually happening. So it was a pretty sad and devastating day.
Yeah. Danny Carr told me afterwards that it sounded like it was dead silent. You could hear a pin drop type emotion, at least while James was in the room. And then it started to flow and it started to pour out. But that 24-hour period, it's the biggest sports story in my lifetime. I would assume your lifetime as well, because it's the first time since World War II this is all shut down. Sports aren't happening. Will we ever live another day like that Thursday where everything got shut down?
Well, I hope not, because
we're out of jobs.
Like that happens. Yeah, it's not a really good scenario. So I hope not. But we're a small ripple in the overall impact of this virus. But the individual impact that this has had on each of their lives is profound and lasting, and they will never get this back. And that's the sad part to me. I get to coach again. I'll get another season and another team, and knock on wood, another NCAA tournament, we hope. But they won't. The seniors, they're done, and some of them will never play another college, all of them college basketball, and another organized basketball game.
Yeah,
they'll move on with their lives, and it just leaves an unfinished chapter in what was a truly storied senior group. Yeah. And it's hard to really process the impact of that on those guys. I keep looking at I was doing a PowerPoint for a coach's clinic, and I was looking at the graphics where we had won 30 games the last 3 years, and we were only at 24 this year because we did have 7 losses. But we didn't get to 25, then we didn't, have a chance to get to 30. And, you just want to have those chances, you want to finish it and see what happens. And, not to get long winded, but really that's what our program's about, is you stack good days on top of each other, and we think about today, but then we want to see where that leads us to the end, with the end in mind. And we had stacked a lot of good days together with this group, and we never got to see where that tower we were building ended up. Yeah.
I woke up that morning, despite the fact that the Rudy Gobert story broke the night before. The NBA had suspended its season late the night before. I woke up that morning thinking I'm hopping on a bus at 6:30 and I'm going to spend potentially 6 days in Tennessee at the tournament. And I remember when I got the call shortly after the news was delivered to the team, hey, you don't have to pack up your stuff. You don't have to come back to campus. We're not going. I didn't know what to do with myself. What was the first thing you did when all of a sudden what is known as the busiest, most hectic time of the year for you, for me, for your players is gone?
Well, I think we were exactly like you. We walked back to my office, and I think some of the guys came up to the office, and they were in the office for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But when everybody left, I think we all just kind of were looking around the office, packing up.
Mm-hmm.
What's next? What's next? We take pride in always knowing what's next. Really, people always ask me, well, what do you do after the season's over? Well, there's always a next. There's
Mm-hmm.
always the next thing, and rarely do we get time down. I didn't know what was next. There wasn't supposed to be a next yet.
Yeah.
You recruit, there wasn't. We're not supposed to be here. So I think we felt exactly as you described. Just what do we do with ourselves?
Yeah. And there's for example, for me, there's a regimented, usually somewhere around the first week of May when all the sports die down and I have a little bit of a break, 2-3 weeks or so, you mentally check out and then you're ready to rev back up. So that gets accelerated, right? It happens in the middle of March. Well, now 2-3 weeks has happened and I still don't know how to fill my days. So how are you filling your days as a coach, trying to do what you can, I guess, within the limitations the NCAA has put on you for recruiting, but you can't step outside those bounds and you can't have, you obviously can't gather and practice and go through any conditioning, whatever you are allowed to do during this time frame. So what are you doing every day?
Well, I think the mornings are pretty hectic. We are trying to remotely monitor our guys, with their academics. So they are required to text. We have a group text, and they're required to text what they are doing that day and what they accomplished the day before, each morning before 11. I'm the kindergarten teacher. I'm the kindergarten teacher for some of those days. Someone has to cook the meals for Liam when Suzanne's still working. So those days that she's gone, my hands are really full. But then we're recruiting. We've gotten a couple commitments. I can't really comment on who they are, but we're still really recruiting a lot of players. And
you're allowed to text and call and do some things. It's not a completely dead period. I hope that the average fan would understand that.
Yeah, the dead period means they can't come to campus. We can't see them on campus. We can't go off campus and recruit. There's no face-to-face evaluations or contact. Mm-hmm. And but we can't call and text as much as we want, which is a bad thing because there's a lot of coaches texting and calling. Yeah. You're trying to figure out new guys to recruit every day just to fill your time. So I'm afraid some guys are getting recruited and they're not really being as recruited as they think. Just there's coaches with lots of time on their hands. So then I've also yesterday I did a clinic, virtual clinic. Created a PowerPoint or added to a PowerPoint that we already had. So I'm learning new skills that way because I'm not sure I had ever really done a PowerPoint. So there's a few of those. I have another of those on Sunday. You've been kind enough to set up several interviews, with local TV.
Everybody has content to fill, okay?
Yeah, which is a good thing. It just shows the progress that we've made, that they think of us. Mm-hmm. In fact, that came up with another interview with an entity outside of Charlotte, and they asked me, how much do you get as far as local media? And I explained to them Noonball has really opened up a lot of avenues for us. But it's nice that our local media, when they want to fill content, you know, I'm not sure before they thought of Queens, and now they do. So that's you know, a tribute to you and your work, and kind of what we've been able to build a little bit here locally.
Yeah, it's I'm blown away by the folks, Walker and Molly at the radio station. They're still going 4 hours every morning. Jason Brown and Mike Solarte at Spectrum are still going 30 minutes with the TV show every night. And I don't know if you caught it, but they've been airing hockey highlights from Belarus in a segment, Where in the World is Sports, every night. So
they're still playing hockey in Belarus.
They're still playing hockey in Belarus, and they are packed out. I mean, thousands in the crowd slamming on the glass.
Wow.
They do not believe in social distancing, as Solarte put it on the air. So
that's a little scary.
Yeah, it kind of is. But this is changing, forcing you, I guess, to change and adapt to a more modern era. At least it has accelerated your changes. I mean, for example, I've had to figure out ways to do interviews such as this from our homes. But in what ways has it changed the way you recruit? Because we don't know when anyone's going to be allowed back into the offices on campus. So I would imagine you have to find ways to show off your program virtually, show off your facilities virtually. How has it changed things?
Well, I guess the biggest thing that's happened is we really have a process that we go through before we will offer a scholarship. And the scholarships at Queens are only offered in my office, face-to-face with the recruit and their families, whoever is there on the visit. And we don't offer them until they're on our campus, which is vastly different than most programs. If you look through the internet, you know, you've got, you know, people offering kids, you know, they'll have 50 offers out. We don't operate that way because I think the scholarship at Queens is worth, first of all, it's worth a lot of money, and it's to me it's very valuable. And we want to make sure that we are good stewards of that scholarship money and how we offer that money. And so I've had to offer kids over the phone, which I haven't done in a long time. So which has been good. And then convincing a player who's never been on your campus that this is the right place for them when they can't touch it and feel it lends to your coaching staff being creative about how you go about educating that family and that student athlete, and convincing them that, hey, this you know, Queens is better than school X or school Y, and here is why. And we have graphics, and we haven't done virtual tours or anything like that. That we direct them to the admissions virtual tours, but it has gotten. We've had to be creative, but you know, we grind it out, and this is just another grind, and I think we're doing a pretty good job with it.
Yeah. Your 5 seniors, Van, Jakai, Josh, Jonathan, Daniel Carr, 3 of which specifically Josh Brodowitz, Jonathan Herdusky, Daniel Carr were here for 4 years, winningest class in program history. Have you had a chance? Did you get a chance to say goodbye to them, and what did you tell them about what they have meant to you in the program?
You know, no, I don't think that we got a chance to do a proper goodbye. And I think at some point we'll all come back together. Hopefully, we'll all come back together and be able to do it the right way. You know, obviously I've been in constant contact with those guys. You know, just today talking with Danny about possible agents. You know, Josh Brodowitz had a little injury. He had to go get his leg sewn up. So we were talking about that. Jonathan Herdusky down in Florida, you know, picking up leaves for his dad. You know, I got some photos on that and then teased him. And then Van and Jakai are still on campus with their internships. So, you know, I'm in contact with them, but I think we all just avoid the goodbye thing. You know, we'll deal with that when we can all come together and, you know, and do it the right way. But no, we didn't we didn't really get a chance to say goodbye, because if you think about it, we had that last meeting. Then the next day it was announced that they were off campus. So it all happened, right in order, and they were gone.
Yeah. The other thing too is that I don't know that someone like a Josh Brodowitz and a Jonathan Herdusky necessarily gets the recognition they should. Among the student body, they are both very popular. When they come in the game, even in a blowout, whether you're on the winning end of it or the losing end of it, the place goes nuts. The minute one of them hits a three, that's about as loud as Levine gets all season. So what stands out to you specifically about those two guys who didn't play as many minutes, but I've seen it in practice every day that they were such an important part of the program and the glue that has led to, again, the winningest 4-year group in the history of a very successful program?
Well, I can give you their individual traits, but what both of those guys, the characteristic that they share is that they would have done anything, and still I'm sure would do anything to help our program. Whether that meant playing 20 minutes a game or playing 2 minutes a game or not playing any at all, whether that meant, being on a scout team or, getting your defensive reps as a starter, they didn't care. And we can go even off the floor, picking up the pizza when we have holiday meals, or, making sure that, hey, this person is awake for boot camp. I mean, I could give you a million examples of how those guys, not only were they everyday guys, but they were everyday team guys. And I don't know how you replace that. That no one will look at the stat sheet and go, okay, they lost Josh Brodowitz and Jonathan Herdusky. Boy, that's a tremendous and program changing pair of losses. They won't ever think that, but in my mind, I think that because you just can't find character like that and work ethic, and those guys knew better than I did sometimes what we were doing, what we were running. Hey, coach, you've named 3 different plays 4. Can we call it something else? Can we rename a play? I'm the worst at naming plays. But they knew everything that was going on, especially Jonathan Herdusky.
He wants to be a coach, right?
Yeah, wants to be a coach, and his basketball IQ is off the charts. He's sneaky funny and sneaky tough, and it comes out when he needs it to come out. But he was so good for our team. And then Brodowitz, just, he and Danny are just the toughest kids that you can ever be around. I mean, every day there's no backing down, there's no give. And again, just selfless. Brodowitz's dad told me when they won the state championship with Catholic his senior year, and he decided to come to Queens, he said, Josh has never in like 6 straight years not won some championship of some kind. And I think until this year, and it got cut short, we won a championship each of his 3 years. Is that correct?
Yeah. Isn't that kind of the irony of this, though, that it was cut out from under them the chance to potentially do that? And the one season of their 4 years here that they won't cut down the net and lift a trophy just is going to be this season. And it's not as if that opportunity still wasn't there in front of them. Yeah.
I mean, we were, we didn't win that conference championship, but we were right there, and they were really hungry. So we'll just say they did it. We'll just give them credit.
You are still the 2-time reigning region champs. Yes, I don't think Lincoln Memorial will love that, but that's just – I feel bad for their guys. I feel bad for Coach Schertz because they really did have something rolling this year.
Yeah,
but
we are still champions. There's no way around.
Before we wrap up, let's have a little fun. Favorite quarantine activity? What is it?
Favorite quarantine activity is Zooming. Is that a word, Zooming?
Apparently now it is a thing, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Be
doing
careful,
doing
'cause
the
I've
Zoom
heard
thing. I've
stories.
done so much of the Zoom thing. It's crazy. I've done kindergarten Zoom, coaching clinic Zoom, interview Zoom. Yeah, Zooming. I love it. It's awesome.
Be careful. Apparently, those get hacked quite frequently. That's
Yeah, we
what I've
have a
heard.
password for the kindergarten Zoom now.
Okay. Yeah, my
Yeah.
brother is a teacher in Manhattan, and they've been doing Zoom for a couple weeks now. And yeah, his got hacked. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll
Um,
probably spice ours up a little.
yeah, yeah, you gotta be careful. Um, Favorite quarantine meal? If you can't tell, I've had a lot of quarantine meals. Favorite quarantine
No
meal?
pizza, right? No.
May have had to make some by myself.
Oh, you're good at that. So that's all right. Favorite quarantine meal would boy. Um, we've been pretty basic. We've stayed in and cooked, and we've had soups and pastas, and I can't really think of what my favorite one is. Um, I'm pretty simple. I would say just quesadillas. Liam and I like to make quesadillas at lunchtime.
Okay. What's Liam's favorite thing to do while he's stuck in the house?
Well, he is kind of a lot of times attached to my leg, and just my shadow. No, we like to. He's getting really good at hoops.
Yeah.
We've got a little app on the phone now. He can do some dribbling, and we've got a hoop in the driveway. We played a 200,
He
and so
wins.
he's working on his left hand. He's getting it done for six.
Yeah.
He's doing great. We before everything was shut down, I didn't have a bike, and I bought a bike, and we've been on some bike rides. So a lot of good time together.
Yeah. And so when's the last time you left the house? Did you get a chance to go out every day, get on a bike ride or go for a run or something or no?
Oh yeah, yeah. We've been out on a walk and playing hoops today, and we get out every day, even in the rain or whatever. But I guess the last time I was at a store, I had to print something for his kindergarten class, so I went to the UPS store. Um,
How
so
long is Liam's hair going to get after all of this is said and done?
you know, fortunately, he got it cut right before the lockdown, so
Okay.
he's in good shape with the shearing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to take a while, but yeah, we won't touch it until he can go back to the barber. So we'll see how long this goes.
All right. Coach Lundy, stay safe. Keep the family safe. You're sitting over there on the other side of the city. I'm sure I'll see you at some point. I don't know when that is, but at some point here, we'll be back in the office and we'll be back to playing, coaching, broadcasting basketball. But until then, don't think too much about what could have been.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, and thanks for everything you're doing and keeping us present in people's minds.
Yeah. Happy to do it. We like all those broadcasters, even though I don't have a set time to fill, like all of them, I am sitting here going through withdrawal with things to do or needing things to do. So I'm about to start a puzzle, by the way. I just ordered a puzzle, 1,000-piece puzzle. I'm not kidding. I'm about to start it.
There you go. Don't look at the picture before you do it.
Well, then it's no fun. Like, then I don't know where I'm going. I'm
It's
blind
difficult.
doing my puzzle. I'm
Good luck with the
competitive.
puzzle.
I want to win.
Is the picture a pizza?
No, it's actually a picture of like the New York skyline.
Oh,
It was
okay.
the first thing I saw on Amazon. Okay, I know it's cliche, but it's the first thing I saw on Amazon. Okay.
Click your heels together. No place like home.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Coach Lundy, stay safe out there. Thank you so much. All the best of luck.
Thanks, Phil. Take care.